Jack, we need to talk about every action movie ever made. Seriously.
Oh no. Which cinematic universe has offended your delicate sensibilities today, Tim?
It's the anchor scene. You know the one. The giant battleship is speeding along, some hero yells, "Drop the anchor!" And the whole ship does this insane, screeching handbrake turn in the water. It's the coolest move ever.
And that move is a complete and utter lie. A physical impossibility that makes me want to throw my popcorn at the screen every single time.
I knew you'd say that. Welcome everyone to Wait, How? The show where we find out if the cool stuff is actually true. I'm Tim.
And I'm Jack. And no, ships don't do handbrake turns. Today we're talking about why, inspired by a video Tim saw on the YouTube channel Accurate, that proves we're all wrong about one of the most basic things in the world, ship anchors.
Okay, so my mind was completely blown. The video basically said that the anchor, the big, heavy, pointy thing, is pretty much just a glorified fish hook. Its main job isn't its weight.
It's almost entirely its shape. I'm glad you finally understand this. Modern anchors, especially stockless anchors on huge ships, are designed to do one thing: dig in. When they hit the seabed and get pulled horizontally, the flukes, those big shovel arms, are engineered to bite into the ground like a plow.
But what if the ground is super hard or just mushy? The video said that makes a difference.
It's everything. Captains study geological sea charts for this. Solid rock? The anchor just skates across it like a hockey puck. A thick layer of algae? It's like trying to get a grip on a wet, slimy carpet. Sand is okay, but the jackpot, the perfect spot, is thick clay or mud. The anchor digs in like a claw and just holds on.
So the anchor's real job is to just get a good grip. The weight is just a bonus?
Essentially, yes. The anchor just starts the process. The real hero of this story, the thing that actually does most of the work, is the chain. Or, as it's officially called, the rode.
The video said each link in the chain is insanely heavy. Is that true?
It's an understatement. The video mentioned 160 kilograms per link. I pulled up the spec sheets for a very large crude carrier from a major chain manufacturer. A single link can weigh over 200 kilograms.
200 kilos? That's the weight of a full-grown lion for one link.
Correct. And a ship like that has hundreds of meters of it. The total weight of the chain and anchor can top 240,000 kilograms. The video's comparison was perfect. It's like dropping a blue whale on the ocean floor to hold your ship in place.
A sea monster. That's what it is. But that's the part I still don't get. How does just having a super heavy chain on the bottom stop a 100,000-ton ship from just drifting away?
Because it's not just lying there. It's creating a perfect, beautiful piece of physics called the catenary curve. This isn't some obscure theory. This is a fundamental principle of engineering.
Okay, catenary curve. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
When a ship anchors, it lets out way more chain than the water is deep. The goal is to have a long, heavy belly of chain lying flat on the seabed. That curve in the chain from the ship down to the seafloor is the catenary. It does two genius things at once.
I'm ready. Hit me.
First, the obvious part. The sheer weight of hundreds of feet of chain lying on the seabed creates a massive amount of friction. It's like a giant brake. But the second part is the real magic. It's a shock absorber.
A shock absorber? It's a chain. It's the opposite of bouncy.
Think about it. When wind and waves push the ship, it's not pulling directly on the anchor. The first thing it has to do is try and lift that incredibly heavy chain off the ocean floor. All the energy from the wind and waves gets spent just trying to straighten that curve.
So the chain takes the punch. It straightens out a little, absorbs the force, and by the time any of that pull actually gets to the anchor at the very end, it's just a gentle tug.
Exactly. That's why maritime classification societies, like the American Bureau of Shipping, have strict rules for this. The standard rule of thumb, called the scope, is that you need to let out 5 to 7 times more chain than the water is deep. It's a global standard designed specifically to guarantee that perfect shock-absorbing curve.
My mind is blown. But if it's so perfectly designed not to come out, how do they get it back?
You don't just pull, Tim. You drive. The ship uses its engines to motor slowly forward right on top of the anchor's position. The engines do the hard work of moving the ship, so the machine on the front, the windlass, only has to lift the chain's vertical weight.
So they just drive over it and the anchor pops out?
Pretty much. Once the ship is directly over the anchor, the chain pulls straight up. That vertical force acts like a lever on the anchor's shank and it breaks the flukes free from the mud. It's an incredibly elegant system.
And the way they know how much chain is out is brilliant. The video showed the painted links.
It's a perfect analog system. Each section of chain is a shackle, about 90 feet long. At each connection, they paint the links. One white link on each side of the red connector means it's the first shackle. Two white links means it's the second shackle. Any sailor on any ship can just look at the chain and know instantly how many hundreds of feet are in the water. No fancy electronics needed.
Wait, how is that not the coolest, simplest system ever? Which brings me back to the Hollywood lie. Now I get why the handbrake turn is so stupid.
Because you'd be ignoring all the physics we just talked about. Best case, the anchor skips along the bottom like a tin can. Worst case, it snags on solid rock and the chain, facing forces it was never designed for, snaps instantly. You've just lost a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and the ship barely even noticed.
So the secret to stopping a giant ship isn't a massive, violent action. It's this graceful, gentle curve of a chain, absorbing all the energy.
It's the subtle beauty of engineering when it works with physics, not against it.
A perfect example of brains over brawn. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Wait, How? A huge thanks for tuning in.
If you found this deep dive into ship anchors as mind-blowing as I did, do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and let us know in the comments what other everyday objects you think we completely misunderstand.
Right. Next time, we're diving into another mind-bending topic. We'll be discussing why some of the universe's biggest structures are held together by nothing at all.
Dark matter, Tim. You're talking about dark matter. I'll have the latest papers from the astrophysical kernel ready.
See? Always a reveal. I can't wait. Until then, I'm Tim.
And I'm Jack.
Keep asking how.